Welcome back, everybody. We're back in the book of Psalms, and we're going to be in chapters 47, 48, and 49 today. And like some of the previous scriptures that we've looked at, this passage sort of makes you look around and question why is it that evil people or arrogant people always seem to be doing well or winning at life, like the people that lie, that cheat, that flex their success online. They act like they don't need God. Somehow, these are the folks that seem to be getting richer, louder, and more influential. Meanwhile, faithful people are struggling with anxiety, bills, disappointment, and unanswered prayers. The writer of these three Psalms seemed to have understood that feeling. These chapters move from celebration to reflection to a sobering reminder that no amount of money, success, or power can save a human soul. And honestly, I think it's really relevant for us today because our culture tells us to be bigger, to get richer, to build your name, to secure your future, to build your fortune. But these Psalms ask a completely different question. What if the most important thing about your life isn't what you gain, but who you belong to? So without further ado, let's go. So Psalm 47, it opens with energy. Verse 1 says, "Come everyone, clap your hands, shout to God with joyful praises." This is worship with excitement. It's celebration. It's passionate. Why? Because the psalmist declares that God is king over all of the earth. Not just Israel, not just one country or one nation, not just a certain group of religious people, but all of the earth. King of all the earth. And this chapter was likely written during a time when surrounding nations worshipped many false gods, and earthly kings were treated almost like divine rulers. But Psalm 47 boldly says that there is only one true king. And unlike human rulers, God's authority is perfect, eternal, and trustworthy. The psalm points to this image of God ascending to his throne with trumpet blasts and shouting. It's victorious, it's triumphant language, it's royal language, almost like heaven itself is celebrating the reign of God. And here's what's beautiful, this psalm reminds us that history is not random. God is not absent, he's not panicking, he's not reacting, he's reigning over it all. And that matters when life for us feels chaotic. When your future feels uncertain, when the world feels unstable, when anxiety keeps you awake at night, Psalm 47 reminds us that God has never lost control even for 1 second. Psalm 48 shifts into a celebration of Jerusalem, the city of God. But this isn't really about buildings or geography, it's about God's presence with his people. This psalm describes enemies approaching the city, only to panic and flee when they realize that God is the one defending it. The message here is clear. The true strength of God's people was never their walls, it was God himself. And that's important because humans naturally place security in things that we can see, invisible things: money, careers, politics, comfort, relationships, health. But here's the thing, none of those things are guaranteed. This psalm reminds us that real peace comes from knowing God is with us. Psalm 48:14 says, "For that is what God is like. He is our God forever and ever, and he will guide us until we die." Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that is deeply comforting because life has a tendency to change constantly. People leave, bodies age, jobs or careers shift, our dreams will sometimes fail, but God's character stays the same. It does not change through it all. And sometimes God allows instability around us so that we stop building our identity on temporary things. Psalm 48 calls believers to remember that there's true stability in one place and one place alone, and that is God. It's not our circumstances, it's not our success, but it's in God. Then Psalm 49 takes a sharp turn, and honestly, it feels incredibly relatable for modern day life because the writer starts addressing rich people and poor people alike because everybody needs this message. Verse 2 says, "High and low, rich and poor, listen. For my words are wise and my thoughts are filled with insight. I listen carefully to many proverbs and solve riddles with inspiration from a harp. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? They trust in their wealth and boast of great riches, yet they cannot redeem themselves from death by paying a ransom to God. No one can redeem another person or pay God enough money to escape the death that we all deserve." In other words, money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy your eternity. It can buy medicine, but it can't buy immortality. It can buy us popularity, even, but it can't buy us peace with God. Psalm 49 attacks this illusion that success equals security. And our culture desperately needs to hear this. We're constantly told that if we just make enough money, if we just achieve enough, if we upgrade enough of our things, we will have enough influence, we will finally feel safe, we will finally feel satisfied. But wealthy people still struggle with depression. Celebrities still feel empty. Powerful people still die. The Psalm says people who trust only in riches are like animals that perish. Now that sounds harsh, but the point is powerful. A life lived only for temporary gain misses the eternal purpose. Then comes one of the most hopeful lines in the chapter. It's verse 15 where it says, "But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave." Now that's the turning point right there. The psalmist realizes what wealth could never accomplish. God can. Redemption, salvation, eternal life. And for Christians reading this today, it points beautifully towards Jesus because Jesus paid the price that no human could pay. So when you walk through these three chapters, 47 reminds us that God reigns, chapter 48 reminds us that God protects and guides his people, and then Psalm 49 reminds us that earthly wealth cannot save us, only God can. And that should change how we live our lives. Because if God is truly king, then we don't have to live controlled by fear. If God is our security, then we don't have to build our identity on success or earthly possessions. And if eternity is real, then we should stop treating temporary things like ultimate things. These Psalms challenge both our anxiety and our pride. They remind us that life is bigger than survival, it's bigger than status or accumulation of things, it's about knowing God. So here's a few practical takeaways for our lives today. Number one, stop treating temporary things like permanent foundations. Whether it's careers or money or appearance or popularity, all of those things will change and shift rapidly. So build your life on something eternal, something that matters. Second thing, worship before you worry. Psalm 47 starts with praise before any of the circumstances changed. Sometimes worship realigns our perspective before our situation improves. Third, evaluate what you're chasing. Ask yourself honestly, if I got everything that I wanted today, but I drifted far from God, would it actually be worth it? Would it actually matter? And that is the heart, that is the true question behind Psalm 49. So we need to remember that God is still reigning. Even when our lives feel chaotic, God has not stepped off the throne even for one moment. We should be investing in eternal things: relationships, faith, character, serving people, growing spiritually. Those are the things that are going to outlive money or status or anything of this world. So, overall, these three chapters for me reminded me that the world's definition of success is incredibly fragile. Money fades away, fame fades away, strength fades away, but God remains, and the people who trust in Him are standing on something eternal. So, maybe the real question isn't how successful am I becoming? Maybe the better question is, am I building my life on something that will actually last? The safest place to build your life is under the reign of God. Won't He do it?